everyone, it's Rosette. I'm back today with another decoding. This one is going to be on the Dark Tower. The Dark Tower is Stephen King's magnum opus, which is just another way to say his great work, the work of the Masons to bring about a new world order. He tells us he began the series in 1970 and completed it in 2003. He made sure to tell us it took him 33 years. 33, of course, being the special number. One above freezing, where the snow melts and the truth is revealed. 33, the age of Christ when he was crucified. To the Luciferians, a victory over God. 33 vertebrae in the spine, the same spine that they believe through their Key of Solomon will bring the adept enlightenment. Their inversion of illumination through the Anu, the Anus, anus. Stephen is 33 in numerology. S is 1, T is 2, E is 5, P is 7, H is 8, E is 5, N is 5. So 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 7 plus 8 plus 5 plus 5 equals 33.
Dark Tower is also 33 in Chaldean numerology. You can't make this stuff up.
And he spells Stephen with a PH, S-T-E-P-H-E-N, like in Phoenician. The Phoenicians were the keepers of the mystery schools, and through the use of their phonetics, they hide truth in plain sight. The question is, why is this his magnum opus? What is in here that he's trying to convey? Certain symbolism, certain agendas are being pushed. Does he have all bases covered in this one? Because although they would like the movie to be entertaining, it is more important to have the hidden message conveyed. The entertainment value is secondary.
The things we see in the media, especially movies and TV shows, are called programming for a reason. This is the single most effective tool for conditioning and molding the minds of the masses while showing us hidden truths that are disguised as fantasy and science fiction.
King is a writer, someone who conjures up rites, rituals, for us to follow, writer, spelling his words, casting spells with his pen into sentences. The sentence is placed upon us when we read the lines. In the black and white photo, how fitting, black and white, King is showing his allegiance, even in his younger years, with his left eye t-shirt. Of the left-hand path, the path of Lucifer. And on the time cover, positioned just so that the M for Mason, is behind his head, making devil's horns. He tells us that the main character, the Gunslinger, is actually based on a knight of King Arthur's Round Table. From the wiki. In the story, Roland de Chain, an anagram for Land of the Chained, is the last living member of a knightly order known as Gunslingers, and the last of the line of Arthur Eld, his world's analog of King Arthur. And just as Arthur carried a sword, Roland carries a gun. So this gunslinger, this knight, is on a quest to find the man in black, who he has some reckoning with. The gunslinger is King Arthur, or Christ, and the man in black is King Cole, or Lucifer. Note that Cole, C-O-E-L, is coal, C-O-A-L, as in black. Now they are inverting here because they have a black man play the white and the white man play the black. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with the black man playing a good guy. It all has to do with the symbolism of the colors. They have the good represented by blue, and they have the bad represented by red, Crimson King. Christ is red-blooded. Lucifer is blue-blooded, the blue bloods. You can also tell by looking at a rainbow. The red is always at the top, closest to heaven, and the blue, violet or purple, is at the bottom, closest to their God in the abyss, otherwise known as hell. They are playing out the War of the Roses. Now, the War of the Roses has been going on since the beginning of time, just like the Tower, which has been there from the beginning. It is the war between good and evil, between Christ and Lucifer. It played out in Arthur's time with him against King Cole, black. It played out later in what was known as the War of the Roses, with the Lancasters, red rose, against the Yorks, white rose. The Lannisters against the Starks. It played out in the U.S. when Chief Joseph of the Nez Perce, should be Nez Perce, French for Snowpiercer, led his people to safety in the Trail of Tears. It plays out throughout the world in people who are brave and true, like Christ. This was a good man. Hear me, my chiefs, I am tired. My heart is sick and sad. From where the sun now stands, I will fight no more forever. Chief Joseph.
Matthew McConaughey plays the antagonist Walter. Walter is just one of his names. Besides nicknames like the Man in Black, the Walking Dude, the Dark Man, and the Ageless Stranger, he also goes by many aliases such as Ramsey Forrest, Robert Frank, Richard Fry, Richard Fremantle, Richard Fannin, Russell Faraday, Bill Hinch, Martin Broadcloak, and most notably, Randall Flagg from The Stand. In the Dark Tower, Randall Flagg usually goes by Walter Paddock or Walter O'Dim.
Walter O'Dim. So we have water in his name. Water is the element of the left. It is the element associated with the moon. The moon is a symbol for Lucifer. It is a taking energy. Sailors were told not to sleep on the deck of the ship at night, for they would get ill. And O'Dim, as in a dim light, like the moon gives off. Also, O'Dim is phonetically similar to Odin. Odin, the Norse god who is the equivalent of Anu. The Dark Tower is brought to us by Columbia Pictures, which is another name for Isis, which is also Lilith, the female version of Lucifer. She is represented in the androgynous figure called the Statue of Liberty. Notice she's holding a blue wrap. And as we mentioned, blue is symbolic of the blue bloods, the elite. The rainbow on the logo is in an arch and thus shows the colors inverted, with blue at the top. She is wearing a toga. Toga is an anagram for goat, the goat god. And goat is an abbreviation for greatest of all time, how they refer to Lucifer. They are both on platforms as if they are towers, like the Black Tower in the center of the earth, and they are both illuminated. The fire represents the energy that keeps this plane running. Notice the cloud behind her. It is shaped like a mountain.
The Statue of Liberty is definitely a hardcore Masonic token. The statue represents a pagan goddess that goes by many names. Ishtar to the Babylons, Isis to the Egyptians, Libertas to the Romans, and in the Bible, I believe she is Mystery Babylon, mother of the harlots and abominations of the earth. Not to mention, this thing was conceived, financed, built, and installed by Freemasons in a Masonic ceremony.
They made sure to show her in the OA. New York is the capital of the Masons. York Rite in England. New York Rite in America. Tet is short for the Tetragrammaton, the divine name for God. YHWH. Notice the red rose. The red rose is associated with Christ. And then we have the turtle with grids, like a globe, but it's his dome-shaped shell. Represented here in the Hindu cosmology of the world. Notice a snake biting its tail, the Ouroboros, the infinity time loop, represented by an O twisted, which becomes an 8. And in both, we see the dark tower in the center, illuminated.
The Flat Earth cosmology, with the central North Pole mountain, which was championed by all ancient cultures up until 500 years ago, is also the same cosmology for the entire Stephen King universe. And that includes the Dark Tower. I'll prove it beyond a doubt a little later in this video.
A tower stands at the center of the universe, protecting us from darkness. A tower surrounded by red roses, protecting it. It is said that the mind of a child can bring it down, like the Fool. Stephen knows the Fool represents the journey of Christ. He is both 0 and 22, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. King mentions 22 in his foreword on 19. By 1970, I was 22. The first strands of gray hair had shown up in my beard. I think smoking 2.5 packs of Pall Malls a day probably has something to do with that. But even at 22, one can afford to wait. The Dark Tower, the magic mountain in the middle of our world. The magnetic mountain, also known as Mount Meru, Yggdrasil, and Mount Zion. End world. End is an anagram for Eden. Eden world at the center.
What's crazy to me is that the North Pole symbolism is present in every other show or movie that I watch. If you didn't know what to look for, you would never catch it. Ever since I've been aware of the flat earth and the hidden land in the Arctic, I notice it absolutely everywhere. Pay attention and you will too.
The movie starts with a shot of a witch's hat in a playground. Witches worship 8 main pagan holidays: Imbolc, Astara, Beltane, Midsummer, Lughnasadh, Mabon, Samhain, and Yule. And witches do the same rituals as the Masons. Their initial ceremony is almost identical. They are 1. Being recommended by a current witch, Mason. 2. Being blindfolded, bound by a rope, naked, and led to the edge of a magic circle, where they are met by a high priest or priestess who puts a sword to their chest. 3. With sword against chest, they take a blood oath, pledging to keep the secrets of witchcraft. 4. Who goes there? 1 from the world of darkness. 5. And end any spell or ritual where they release the powers with so mote it be. The same. With the 8-pointed star being used here in Mr. Robot. Notice the E in the center. E for Eden. Stephen King's favorite number is 19. His foreword for his Dark Tower series is called On Being 19 and a Few Other Things. He started writing at age 19 and then had his accident at almost 19 times 2, he says. Hit by car on June 19, 1999. A rose is a rose is a rose equals 19 letters.
A rose is a rose is a rose appears in The Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands, and Stephen King attributes the importance of 19 to Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, because King was 19 when he became fascinated with Tolkien's work, and Tolkien's work is also heavily based on a tower. Another 19-letter phrase worthy of note is the coming of the white, and that's also in The Wastelands.
Also, 1919 is 9/11. 9 plus 9 is 18, which is 1 plus 8 equals 9. So you really have 9 plus 11, or 9/11. I is the 9th letter, and K is the 11th. IK reversed is KI. KI, or key, is the Sumerian word for earth. So 9/11 is a number for the earth. And what does the tower represent? Control of the earth. And earth is an anagram of heart. So the earth is the heart of our world. The heart is the center, and in the center we have the tree of life. And the tree of life is also known as the Dark Tower. Notice how similar the place where the gifted children are kept in the Dark Tower to where the gifted children are kept in the Maze Runner. Children, because their energy is the strongest, because their energy is the most pure. Here in the Dark Tower looks eerily similar to here in The Giver. Both look like giant cut trees. Did they cut these giant trees all across our earth? They sure do like to hide this possibility in plain sight. I would give a most emphatic yes. And could this be the true shape of our earth? Not round, not square, but tree-shaped. As above, so below. One giant tree, our whole plane. And one giant tree within our plane, at the center. And the top of the cut tree in The Giver looks like a circuit board, showing how the magnetism from the center permeates outward, powering up our world. And here is the 8-pointed star diagram in the Dark Tower on the left, which looks very similar to the 8-pointed star diagram in Mr. Robot on the right. Circuit boards, which is also the symbol for Anu, an 8-pointed star. You can see it here with Anu, a giant, a Nephilim, and the human slaves in front of him. It is also depicted in the symbol for Thanateros. Thanet, death, and Eros, love. A death cult, like Saturn death cult. Eros is an anagram for rose, but in this sense, it is for the death of the rose, the death of love. So it's interesting that King used mole people in this movie. The mole people of New York, who live beneath the city in their own little world. A slave class working for the man in black. The mole people is not a new theme. It comes up in movies of the 50s. Notice here they live under the moon. They come out at night, and the land is desolated. All the giant trees cut.
In the books, these animal hybrid mole people are called the Tahine. In the movie, they are called skins because they wear fake skin as a disguise when they go to Keystone Earth. Totally reminds me of the ruling class in They Live that you can only see if you have the special sunglasses.
I've got one that can see.
And here with the gifted girl who has the shine is very similar to the gifted girl who can see in the Minority Report. She has the shine, the shining, like Stephen King's movie.
In the Dead Zone, also by King of course, the Shining, aka the Touch, is called the power of second sight. King really likes the mind powers, and we see that in all these books, and many others, like telekinesis in Carrie, or pyrokinesis in Firestarter.
Using their energy to destroy the tower, supposedly to bring in the dark forces. But would it? Without the energy of the tower, would there even be life on this plane? And they always make sure to add a shot of One World Trade Center from the two towers representing duality into the one representing their new world order. Their tower mocking the tower in the middle, the true tower protecting the earth. Comes up in The Magicians. And in Mr. Robot, too. We first meet Jake in the middle of a dream. It looks like a demon breaking through from another dimension, which looks very similar to Eleven's dream in Strange Things Season 2. In here, we know it's the Upside Down, a parallel dimension just below ours, where Hell is on the Tree of Life, on Yggdrasil. He's shaken awake by an earthquake. Are we getting more of these recently? Does this have something to do with the tower? Are they telling us something here? Will the tower fall? "19" also comes up in Genesis 19 as the story of Lot, of Sodom and Gomorrah, 2 of 5 towns that were so corrupt, so immoral, that God wanted them wiped from the face of the earth, where sodomy was committed, which goes on today in homage to Anu, the god of the anus, the anus. And King refers to Genesis 19 again, the story of Lot, in his book Salem's Lot, Jerusalem's Lot, which is about vampires, which is what the controlling elite are. See the moon and the blue?
So when's the apocalypse coming?
So when's the apocalypse coming? They won't put anything in here that isn't important to them. So is the apocalypse coming? Is this predictive programming getting us ready? Jake is obsessed with the tower. It haunts his dreams. It haunts his every waking moment. like it haunted Roy Neary in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He was haunted by the tower too. He built it in his living room. He sculpted it in his mashed potatoes. And they have Easter eggs throughout this movie, I guess because it's King's opus. He puts a little of each of his favorites in here. Here he puts a photo behind the psychiatrist of the Overlook Hotel, where The Shining took place.
You're absolutely right. Most, if not all, Stephen King's books connect somehow. A lot of books you wouldn't even think connect directly to the Dark Tower series, including The Shining, It, The Stand, The Mist, Insomnia, Rose Matter, Bag of Bones, Hearts in Atlantis, and the list goes on and on. More on this later.
Okay, I'm not crazy.
I always see the same thing.
The tower, the man in black, the creepy guys with the fake skins.
Just like Elliot does in Mr. Robot, followed by the men in black. Elliot's, or in the more traditional sense, men in black suits and hats, as seen here on the left, while Jake's are disguised in human skin, kind of like the aliens in Men in Black, who are pursued by the men in black. Jake Chambers is also thought of as crazy and has to meet with a psychiatrist just like Elliot. 2 moons, so we know Jake is in another world. Notice the trees. Cut. The man in black. You have nothing to be afraid of, my friend. Death is not far away. You want to know what's on the other side? Can you see it? Of course you can't, because nothing is there. It's all a lie. Go to hell, says the dying guy. Been there, he replies. You know nothing, Jon Snow. What did you see there? Nothing. But is that just what they want us to believe? That we only have this life? So do as thou will? They have the Allstate guy play the gunslinger's father. More product placement? Like the network security company that Elliot worked for called All Safe. All safe, all state. I do not aim with my hand. He who aims with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I aim with my eye. I do not shoot with my hand. He who shoots with his hand has forgotten the face of his father. I shoot with my mind. I do not kill with my gun. He who kills with his gun has forgotten the face of his father. I kill with my heart. Roland Deschain, The Gunslinger's Creed. The heart is the earth. He is the protector of the earth. Now here it's interesting that they have an ink blot on the wall. The ink blot is part of the Rorschach test, which was used by psychiatrists to determine a person's personality characteristics and emotional functioning. Various codes were established to identify the name of a descriptive object, with terms such as human, nature, animal, abstract, clothing, fire, and X-ray, to name a few. Could a certain pattern unlock a portal? Like the pattern or outline of this portal that Jake and the man in black walk through? Here's another one. Is this a clue? So Jake climbs out the bathroom window of his apartment to escape from the mole people. He jumps on a phone booth. Phone booths are often used as portals, like the one in The Matrix. Notice it says Titan on it in 2 spots. the Titans, or the Nephilim, the ancestors of whom are ruling today, who control the portals. And we have DB on the canopy. Da-ba. DB is the inverse of BD, or bad. So DB is good. Jake is good. We had a portal phone booth in the Magicians as well.
Bill and Ted, and also Doctor Who come to mind.
All hail the Crimson King with the left eye. This is in the mansion that has a portal to Midworld. Mansion, an anagram for in Mason. And the code to Midworld? 1919, of course. The number for Earth. Midworld. Midgard. Middle garden. The garden in the center.
There is some mind-blowing numerology involved here as well. Midgard is 19 in numerology, and it's also 38, which is 19 plus 19 equals 38. It's very interesting.
What Jake pops out of looks like a reptilian eye, an eye with a slit. Dust Devil, which reminds me of the song by Pucifer called Horizons. Dust Devil swept you away. It's still not real. Ash and urn and silence. Talk to me. Dust Devil swept you away. My recollections are all that's left of you. Swirl and sway without me. Dust Devil swept you away. Whirling, playful dancing about you. What's left of you is ash and urn and this silent horizon. And yes, Pucifer would be followers of Lucifer and Crowley, the left-hand path. But the words are fitting with both Jake and Roland losing their fathers. Pucifer is Maynard's he, she, or Baphomet band, with Tool being the male and a perfect circle being the female. The Dust Devil looks phallic. The Man in Black and Jake meet, but it's not a loving meeting. As Cersei says, the more people you love, the weaker you are. You'll do things for them that you know you shouldn't do. You'll act the fool to make them happy, to keep them safe. Love no one but your children. On that front, a mother has no choice. Same with a father or a mentor. The Man in Black walks by, and instead of hell-o, he says, hate. Her eyes momentarily turn black. Hell-o and hate are basically the same, though, aren't they? Do we pass on negative energy when we use this word without even knowing it? All hail the Crimson King on the door to the underworld, to below the city where the moles live, where they shop for skins, what they want us to believe, that we are all just souls in meat suits. Switch out the suit to your liking. Be a boy today, tomorrow a girl, next day a he-she. The land where Jake and the Man in Black are traversing is the same lands as in Avatar, called the Hallelujah Mountains. The same lands in our world, in the land of China, in Zhangjiajie National Forest. Another Easter egg is Pennywise the Clown from Stephen King's horror novel called It. When they stop for the night and build a fire, Roland draws the world in the dirt. explaining how it works to Jake. Inside the circle is your world, my world, many others. No one knows how many. The Dark Tower stands in the center of all things, since the beginning of time, and it sends out powerful energy that protects the universe from what's outside. Outside is endless darkness, full of demons trying to get to us. Walter wants to let the demons and monsters in so he can rule over them. Notice how similar it is to the maze in Westworld. In Westworld, Dolores' quest was to get to the center.
Let's go back to Pennywise for a second. It is totally connected to the Dark Tower, and many people don't even realize it. They connect in more ways than one, but I want to point out the turtle, aka Maturin. This is the cosmic turtle with the earth on its back that we see in Hindu cosmology. Let's read a quick passage from It, where the turtle is its worst enemy. Before the universe, there had been only two things. One was itself, and the other was the turtle. The turtle had vomited the universe out whole. The only thing it had in common with the stupid old turtle and the cosmology of the macroverse outside the puny egg of this universe was just this: all living things must abide by the laws of the shape they inhibit. Now let's have a look at a passage from the Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands. This is the part of the story where they're drawing the map of the world in the dirt on the movie, only the movie doesn't follow the books to the T. So here's how it goes in the book. He was silent a moment, then he, Roland, picked up a stick of his own. He brushed away the carpet of pine needles and used the stick to draw in the dirt beneath. Here is the world as I was told it exists as a child. The X's are the portals standing in a ring at the eternal edge. If one drew 6 lines connecting these portals in pairs, he looked up. Do you see where the lines cross in the center? Eddie felt goose flesh crawl up his back and down his arms. His mouth was suddenly dry. Is that it, Roland? Is that? Roland nodded. His long-lined face was grave. At this nexus lies the great portal, the so-called 13th gate, which rules not just this world, but all worlds. He tapped the center of the circle. Here is the Dark Tower, for which I've searched my whole life. Continuing on to the next page, we get our connection to the turtle. The Gunslinger resumed. At each of the 12 lesser portals, the great old ones set a guardian. In my childhood, I could have named them all in the rhymes my nursemaid and Hax the cook taught to me. But my childhood was long ago. There was the bear, of course, and the fish, the lion, the bat, and the turtle. He was an important one. The Gunslinger looked up in the starry sky, his brow creased in deep thought. Then an amazingly sunny smile broke across his features and he recited, "See the turtle of enormous girth. On his shell he holds the earth. His thought is slow but always kind. He holds us all within his mind. On his back all vows are made. He sees the truth but may not aid. He loves the land and loves the sea, and even loves a child like me." Amazing what we remember, isn't it? Anyway, as I grew older, I came to believe that the guardians didn't exist, that they were symbols rather than substance. It seems that I was wrong. Also, you'll notice with this circle and the portals and all that, it looks like a zodiac, and also a Chinese zodiac. They also go over this in the comics, which I really like. This specific issue is Dark Tower Gunslinger, Man in Black #2. It's worth noting that Dark Tower is 33 in numerology, like I said earlier, but also Maturin, the Flat Earth Turtle, is also 33, and Flat Earth, you guessed it, 33. As we just went over, It and the Dark Tower are both Flat Earth movies. You can deny it if you wish, but they are definitely flat Earth and hidden North Pole land movies. And because of this, a huge chunk of Stephen King's work is also flat Earth, because many of his stories take place in the exact same universe. Here's a chart that's not perfect, but it's really good. You can pause it here and go over it. You'll see how King's work ties together and ties into the Dark Tower.
Salt and pepper, to symbolize the black and white of Freemasonry, of Roland and the Man in Black. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And who was Sgt. Pepper? Aleister Crowley. He was Pepper, the Man in Black. Black keys on the wall. Black keys as opposed to white. Pepper. What's interesting is that the group The Black Keys had this tour poster made a few years ago, and it shows the tower as well. Here they prominently show the number 13. 13 for the 13 real Illuminati families. 13 is M in numerology, M for Mason. But they usurp because 13 is also Christ's number. He is the 13th. 12 disciples and him in the center. Just like Arthur Eld. 12 Knights of the Round Table, with Arthur being the 13th in the center. And here, the goats, again symbolic of Lucifer, the goat god, the Baphomet.
Reminds me of Gotham City from Batman. Gotham means homestead of the goats, and is a nickname for New York City.
I do not kill with my gun. He who kills with his gun has forgotten the face of his father. I kill with my heart. "19, upside down 7 makes a 1 and 9. So 1919 again. To Allie, a note from the Man in Black in the first book of the Dark Tower series, The Gunslinger. You want to know about death? I left him a word. That word is 19. If you say it to him, his mind will be opened. He will tell you what lies beyond. He will tell you what he saw. The word is 19. Knowing will drive you mad. But sooner or later you will ask. You won't be able to help yourself. Have a nice day. Smiley face emoticon. Walter O. Dim. Prominent smiley face emoticon here. Hello there. Hate. The smiley face is a symbol for do as thou will shall be the whole of the law, Crowley's law, which appears here in the Bad Batch as well, which came up in Mr. Robot too, here on the Mr. Robot patch, and in the Magicians. And here, when Elliot walks into the room, you can see it on the wall above his left shoulder of the left, which in real life was the marker of the killers dubbed the Smiley Face Killers, because they left it spray painted next to their victims. So these 4 pictures right here are actual pictures of the markers.
Now that you mention it, I am starting to see it more and more. There was a horror movie in 2012 called Smiley. That was an interesting one. I can't think of all the ones I've seen right now, but I do vividly remember the smiley face from The Watchmen and the XX double cross smiley face from Suicide Squad.
His guns are forged from the steel of Arthur Eld himself. I believe the Keystoners call it Excalibur, said Walter. We know that regardless of whoever crosses the finish line first, the universe will die out eventually. Death always wins. That's the deal, exclaims the man in black. But it's how we play the game that makes all the difference, Walter. That's for me. To get to the place where the man in black is trying to blow up the tower, the code is 611. 611 is an inversion of 911. The inverse of good is bad. 611, excuse me. 611 is also 6 times 11 equals 66. The number for the Grand Inquisitor Commander. 233s in Freemasonry. 2 Stars of David. Jake has the shine. He sits in the chair that forces his energy into destroying the tower, but he fights it. The Crimson King, Stephen King. Notice the left eyes on the building look just like King's left eye on his shirt. The same left eye that is in the Game of Thrones, used by Euron Greyjoy as his sigil. The Crimson King, the most evil villain next to the Night King. The Night King, the Black King. But notice he is really in blue.
And in The Dark Tower, Matthew McConaughey plays the Man in Black, who works for the Crimson King.
And he played a detective on True Detectives that had a Yellow King. Carcosa, the Yellow King, who was worshipped and had children sacrificed to him. The Crimson King, half human, half demon, leader of the Red Force of Chaos, seeks to topple the Dark Tower, seeks to bring about endless discord and mania, just like Carcosa, bringer of mayhem. Rust Cole, Cole, which is phonetically the same as Cole, C-O-E-L, as in King Cole, Arthur's enemy, and as Cole, C-O-A-L, the color black. No wonder he's playing the Man in Black. Roland is shot in his right hand, just like Snowpiercer, with a wound to his right hand that looks like the crucifixion wound of Christ. Remember, Curtis was Christ in that movie. Curtis is an anagram for curist, one who heals. And replace the U in curist with an H and you have Christ. Just like Jaime Lannister with his right hand wounded, actually chopped right off. He would be the Christ character in the Game of Thrones. Roland, the heart, the Christ in the Dark Tower, shoots with his heart, and he finally hits his mark. Odim's eye is dimmed. Without Odim's dark magic, the machine cannot stand. It implodes. And the tower is saved. Notice how tall it actually is. It reaches above the clouds to the heavens. Roland and Jake can finally rest in their accomplishment. But what kind of world is it now? New York still stands. The One World Tower still stands. The White Rose is still out there. But the Red Rose will always protect the tower. One for Roland, and a smaller one for Jake.
Whether knowingly or unknowingly, Stephen King is definitely tapping into forgotten truths of the world. From unbelievable mind powers, to the flat earth cosmology, to the hidden land at the North Pole, King is revealing the true reality that has been hidden from us. But once again, it's under the guise of fiction. The fact is that the truth is stranger than fiction, and the people of this world receive their truth through the movies and are deceived and lied to through the news. Completely inverted, just like everything else in this world. And it's by design. This has been ODD and Rosette. Thanks for watching.